my apologies on not talking about the most exciting Nintendo-related news this week because unfortunately I've been very busy, right? I'm finishing up editing my novel, American Evil, so please pre-order that in the description. American Evil by Harmon Smith. Really looking forward to it. But yeah, Nintendo recently did a very, very smart thing. And the Pretendos are seething. They are furious. They are livid that they were tricked into getting hyped up for a visual novel. Ha! So, what exactly happened here? What exactly did Nintendo do? Well, they released a trailer showcasing like 25 seconds of footage of some guy just standing there, and it was spooky. It was weird. Like, who is Emio? Was their little slogan for it, and people got really fired up about it. Like, oh man, is Nintendo finally making a mature game for mature gamers? Are they finally throwing everything out the window to pursue the real gaming audience, like the 18-year-old to 44-year-old men? Like, are they going to appeal to the man children who get their kicks by pretending they're real men by playing video games? Like, that was the narrative going into this, is that people really thought this was going to be some monumental, big, new, major, mature IP from Nintendo. And that wasn't off base, right? That's the thing that really gets me about this, is that, like, people are doing this thing where they're pretending that Nintendo bait and switched them, that Nintendo tricked them. But the reality is everything they told you in that trailer, that Emio was a major character in an upcoming project, like, that was real, right? The project is still rated M. There was nothing really weird or out there about this. Again, I do think this is really interesting. Like, this reminds me a lot of Cranky Con at a VGX in 2014. Dr. Trey even brought that up in his video talking about this, where he's just like, Nintendo should have stayed home that day. They shouldn't have announced anything at all. This is a nothing burger announcement, right? Like, people are upset because the way Nintendo handled this was masterful. A bunch of people who downplayed the remakes of Famicom Detective Club 3 years ago got hyped up for a new game in the series. Right? This isn't a remake. This isn't a re-release. This isn't some, like, phoned-in thing. This is a new Famicom Detective Club game. And this was something that I was pushing for ever since the remakes came out. Like, I really never thought it was going to happen, right? That was my honest, like, feelings about it. I'm like, oh, yeah, they're remaking Famicom Detective Club. Like, I thought the game's bombed. You know, and to a certain extent, like, I really thought that the games didn't do very well. But, like, I think it must have been, like, a meme by the community, because, like, there's no way it was, like, an expensive project to produce, right? There's no way these games, like, if they're producing a sequel, like, surely the remakes must have done reasonably well to convince Sakamoto to come back to this, right? And so, again, like, I was seeing this happen in real time, where, like, the Famicom Detective Club remakes are getting new fans. People are becoming interested in these games because of the Emio announcement. Like, people are, like, getting hyped up for them and getting interested in them and playing through them. And, you know, like me, they are going to reasonably enjoy the games. And people are upset, right? This is the thing about this. This is kind of phenomenal, because the people who are crying about this are the people who believe that Nintendo should be producing mature games for mature gamers, and they're people who constantly bang on about Nintendo not revisiting classic gaming IPs. You don't get much more classic than Famicom Detective Club, right? You know, Kid Icarus Uprising, like, that sequel came out 25 years after the last one, right? 25 years. It's been 35 since the last Famicom Detective Club, right? You don't get any older than Famicom Detective Club. Like, maybe, I don't know, maybe Ice Climbers is older, like, maybe Mach Rider or, like, Excite Bike, but, like, I think Excite Bike Excite Bike's come back. But, again, what other Nintendo IP out there is older than Famicom Detective Club? Like, 10 years ago, the big IP that everyone was banging on about to come back, like, was Star Tropics, and, like, Famicom Detective Club is older than that. So, this, to me, really demonstrates where the industry is going, right? Like, the Pretendo community is done, essentially. Like, I've been saying this for a long time, but Like, they tried really hard to make this out like it was a disappointing announcement, that Nintendo didn't know what they were doing, that this was like a mistake, that like they shouldn't have bothered announcing this at all, that they shouldn't have made this at all. But like, they just came off a major Nintendo Direct, right? We have lots of bangers coming out for like the rest of the year, right? If Famicom Detective Club had been announced then, it would have been written off and ignored. Oh, it's just a visual novel. It's an adventure game, just like Ace Attorney. Like, we need to talk about that, by the way, like the visual novel thing. But like, it's not a visual novel. But like, it was really interesting. Like, over the past several years, seeing that people try and write off this IP, try to write off like what Nintendo did with the remakes, and try to like create like localization controversies about it. Like, it's one of those IPs, right, where people really try being negative about it, like for no reason, right? And I think like this announcement has really like emphasized just how insane this community actually is, right? Like, I wish I was there live, like responding to everyone who was like complaining about this, because like, what exactly are you so angry about, right? It's barely a game. You've never played the game. You don't know anything about Famicom Detective Club, right? You don't know anything about these games. In fact, we don't even know anything about this game, right? If anything, considering like the huge time gap in releases, like we could get like massive changes to the formula and like the way the game works, right? You know, we already have confirmation that like Ayumi Tachibana is playable for the first time ever, right? And she's a fan favorite character. So like, again, everything I've seen from this is really interesting. Like, I expect it to be longer than the first two games. I expect there to be a lot of like, I'm definitely like very interested in seeing what Sakamoto comes up with. Now, the big thing I'm concerned about, and like this is my big like reservation about this, I don't think Sakamoto is a very good writer, right? You know, I have issues with Other M. I don't like the prequel game, The Girl Who Stands Behind It. It's like the one he fully wrote is noticeably not as good as the first one, right? Which had him and Gunpei Yokoi working on it together. Like, I feel like he needs to have a team of people like I don't know, like reining him in and stopping him from doing certain things. It's like it's kind of shocking that like how similar that game, which was written I think in like the 80s, how similar it is to like Other M, like written 25 years later. Like, very similar kind of styles and like presentation, and like the way it utilizes twists and stuff like that. You can tell the same person wrote it. It's really interesting kind of seeing that. But like, again, other than that, like, what exactly are you so angry about? Like, it's a new video game from a company that is producing a lot of new video games. Like, again, absolutely brilliant move by Nintendo. I hope that this game becomes a moderate success.